preaching for the past, that should be 7 years. Anything that concerns women, girl child, family, Kechi is there. She's absolute, she's a great speaker, she's a great mentor. Don't worry, very eloquent speaker. What? Oh God. Don't worry, I don't want to say much. At the end of this conference today, you would be so like you'll be so thrilled. Nkechi will deliver. So today she'll be talking to us on the 7 ways to become the girl for the job. Say 7 ways to become the girl for the job. 7 ways to become the girl for the job. So we already know the whole idea of International Day of the Girl Child. We want the girls to be involved. So today Nkechi is going to tell us how you're going to be involved. And you need these 7 ways to be involved. Pay very keen attention and you'll be blessed at the end of the day. So listen to our guest speaker.
Thank you so much, Onyeka or Fiona. Thank you so much. Please a round of applause for our chairman of today's event. Thank you so much to the ALPs. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here today. I am grateful and all protocol duly observed. My name is Nkechi Emmanuel Layode Sage-Nell, and I have led women, teenage girls, women for close to 10 years now, actively. I have done it how do I say it now? I have done it without, I'm looking for the exact word, but I would say professionally. Yes, without interruption. And it's not without it being what is recognized beyond 10 years, but close to 10 years now in our registered NGO and everything in between. And today, when Onyeka, I'm going to be moving around. I hope that is okay. All right, yes. So when Onyeka shared with me the theme and invited me to come for today's program, I was excited. I was especially excited because it has to do with the teenage girls, and I think that it is never too early to get it right on the path to your greatness. When you were formed in your mother's womb, there was already a plan for you, and there is no pleasure in finding out that plan later in life if you can find that out early. And that is why today, in my short time, I told the time is short, but I will maximize it. I am going to share with you 7 ways to become the girl for the job. We are talking about our time is now. We are talking about having a space and a seat at the table. We are talking about having a voice that is going to be recognized. We are talking about people becoming valuable, not because we are pitied, but because we are qualified. So what is going to make you the girl for the job? Because at the end of the day, you do not want to get to the space that your voice is supposed to be relevant and you are pitied into that space. You want to make sure that you are qualified for that space that you have gotten to. For instance, like Etobi Amusan, she was thoroughly qualified for the space that she has gotten into, and it took a bit of principle. Some of it I will be sharing with us. I can't share everything. It took a bit of principles time for you to move from that girl child who is dreaming to the girl who is going to accomplish and is going to deserve a seat at the table. We're talking about deserving a seat at the table and having a voice that is valued, that you qualify for, because if your time is going to be now, and if you are going to be able to deliver something tangible when your time is now, because your time can be now and you do not have anything to give. So we want a combination of girls, and that is my job here today, whose time will be now and they have something to offer. Have you not heard of, or have you not seen, well, I have seen, in case you haven't, where people are brought into the stage, or what we call brought into the limelight, and there is no preparation for the opportunity because they have just been shouting about wanting that opportunity, but they have not prepared for it. So what are the 7 ways that you can become that girl for the job? The girl that is going to be qualified, the girl that is going to hold her head up high, the girl that is going to make the change and be the change that she deserves to see in our nation. My first point is think. You have to think. Yes, you heard me right. Think. In today's day and age, unfortunately, and our chairman of today's occasion was speaking about the important part of the female's brain. In today's day and age, unfortunately, the social media network and the way it is built, if you are not intentional, which is going to be my second point, is going to paralyze that thinking part of you. It is impossible to be a relevant girl child who is going to be a female child if you are not thinking. You cannot be TikToking all 365 days of the week. You are not going to be relevant in that sense if you're not taking out time to creatively think. So the intelligent and wise question I'll be expecting is, so say Nell, like I'm often called, what does it mean to think, or what does it entail to think? To be able to think or to prove that you are thinking, one of the key things that you're going to have to be doing is asking questions. You are going to have to be asking active questions all around you. That is how to know that you are thinking. To challenge things, to live life beyond the status quo, you are going to ask questions, and that is the only way that you are going to know that you are thinking. Boys are needed, the males are needed, men are needed. But one of the reasons why the male gender continues or may have had the edge in the past few years is because this is something that they put into play. While the women were busy just feeling, a lot of men were busy thinking, and so it seemed as though they were the front runners or they were the forerunners, innovating things in their society, until women said, no, it's time for me to also put my idea on the table because it is important. So don't be a person who thinks asking question is irrelevant, or who thinks asking question is for those what did they say, ethical or so, those people in front. I don't even believe those sort of people are here who are stereotyping students. Don't think that. You have to ask questions. And asking question is not just in your classroom, it's beyond your classroom. For instance, some days ago, I was asking how was kitchen invented? I ask questions all the time. Not asking kitchen. I was interested to know how was kitchen invented. And it's interesting to know that there's a small difference between kitchenette and kitchen. Now, when you think of these things and you research as a result of asking questions, these are the things that will make you intelligent on tables beyond your cleavage or all the other things that your body has to offer. You will not need to be striving or struggling to give your body to offer anything because your brain is working. This is a very important point because in today's day and age, there seems to be a lot of selling of body to want to prove a point. Even those that seem to have made it, there's just a lot of selling of body. And the question is that what you want to be remembered for? I hope that that's something you can take out because I know that a lot of people, young people, are influenced by what they see in the media. But I want you to think and ask questions and challenge what you are being fed. You're not a specimen. You are a human being. You are a person with meaning. You are a person with value. Why should you just allow everything be dumped down on you without questioning it or asking questions? The second way to think is to read and to research. You have got to read and research, and just a future notice, your education or your reading is not going to stop when you come out of school. You know the way people say, oh, when I come out of school, it's the last time. It's going to be the end. I will throw my books away. In fact, it's just going to get started when you come out of school. So the earlier you get into the habit and enjoyment of reading and researching in alignment with your field. I'm not saying if you're supposed to be a pharmacist, you should go and be a counselor. If you're supposed to be a nurse, you should go and be an air hostess. In line with your field, in line with what you are passionate about, even if it is music. Be an intelligent musician. When you speak, when you give us tunes, when you give us rhymes and rhythm, let us know that this came out of a place of thinking from this person. The musicians that we see today that drop deep lyrics is not by mistake. It's not because I'm a musician, I'm just vibing, as they go. No, they are busy thinking, and when they think it, they put those deep thoughts into melody that is spread out to the world, and people can resonate because there is depth in it. It's very important, and I'm not one to say, if you don't live here with anything today, I expect you to live here with everything. But this point of thinking, please do not take it for granted. And the final way to think is learn to observe and listen. Learn to observe and listen. I'm doing this to my ear intentionally, you need to learn to observe and listen. As a trained and a professional counselor, that is one of the things that we have to do, although I already enjoy listening to people. But the thing is, if you are not really listening to a person or to a situation or at an event, you're not going to really be able to learn. It's just the truth. And listening, there's the passive listening, there's the active listening. So for instance, I'm on radio every Friday by 7 p.m. I think I'll talk about that when I close out. By 7 p.m. And anytime I come on air, I encourage people to not be staring at Mala and doing all these things while listening. Because that's passive listening. You're not going to get it. You will think that you've gotten it, but you're going to forget. But active listening is paying attention in the posture, like what you are receiving matters a lot to where you are headed, because it does. Learn to observe. So you observe and you listen. Well, the wisest and the wealthiest man that existed till death, that's King Solomon. One of the greatest ways that he learned was through observation. Like one translation says, he looked at the fields and the fields preached to him. Meaning there was always something to learn. It will tell you about the lizard. It will tell you about the fields. It will tell you about the man and woman. It will tell you about ants. There's nothing it will not tell you about if you studied that book. The question is, what else are you learning apart from your schoolwork? Are you paying attention? Are you listening and observing? The second point is intentionality. That's the second key point. The sub-point was under the first, which is think, and the second point is intentionality. Intentionality, to summarize it in the best way possible, is asking, how is what I am doing right now going to add to my life in the next 5 years? How is what I am doing right now, how is it going to add to my life in the next 5 years, in the next 3 months, in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years? How is what I'm doing right now going to add to my life? And so when you ask yourself that question, you don't need to be cajoled about whether you should have a boyfriend or you should not have a boyfriend. Are you ready to get married in the next 3 years? Are you ready to become a parent in the next 5 years? Those are intelligent, basic, but has now become complicated questions in the day and age that we find ourselves, because people are not intentional about their lives. So when you ask yourself those questions, it helps you to walk through life intentionally. And I'm not one of those those who think that people cannot meet their spouse in secondary school. I met my husband when I was 9. We were not dating. We dated later, NYC. But we knew each other. We're not friends or anything. So I do not think that, it's impossible to meet your husband. That when I was 9 in secondary school. So I'm not the one that thinks it's impossible to meet your husband or your wife in secondary school. But the problem is, when you start dating now, what are you dating for? So it's not even you and the teacher will be following you. Your headmistress, your head, hey, stop it. Like, look, it's your life. We have a lot of single parenting case. It's giving the mothers problem. Because at the end of the day, it's the mothers that will carry the burden. And that is why we cannot overhave girls meeting. We cannot overhave ladies meeting. It cannot be overemphasized. It cannot be too much. Because we have got to discuss these things and reiterate it. One of my relationship mentors will say, girls have access to the sex, men have access to marriage. What he's trying to say is, girls can put a stop to sex or they can give the go-ahead. So when most times the girl gets pregnant and say, I don't know, well, she had the power to put a stop to it, but she refused. And I'm telling you now that you have that power, and that power can be fueled by your intentionality. This is how to be the girl for the job. The women we have today from Nigeria, from Africa, representing us in the world, this is how they have lived their life. Have you not noticed that there was one person, I don't want to talk about all this, but there was a particular woman that assumed the role, and people started saying, she stole it, and then that's how this person was sorted out of it. Because when all of these things is not fully formed, it will come back to boomerang. It will affect you in one way or the other. The third point on how to, of course, we're still on the 7 ways to become the girl for the job, is purpose and destination. You have to be intentional about what your purpose is and where you are headed. Because what your purpose is and where you are headed is what is going to fuel the actions that you take today. The intentionality is in sync with the purpose and destination. Case in point, for instance, and I thank God for case in point, for instance, one of the core reasons, apart from my own core value is very important, but one of the core reasons why I chose not to have sex before marriage, it's not really because people were saying it, so it was popularly said. Number one, it was a decision, it was a core value that I had. Number two, I knew that my life had to do a lot with empowering women. And if I come here and I give you fluff, you are going to know. Because authenticity, it stems from the inside. You cannot buy it, you cannot pastor it. So I knew that authenticity to my calling, to the lives of women, was important, and there were certain decisions I could not take from where I was headed. So what is your purpose and destination? It is not too early to find out what your purpose and destination is. And even whether you're Muslim or Christian, I want to believe, I think this is a popular story, the story of Mary and Jesus, Mary birthing Jesus. She got that purpose when she was a teenager. So it's not a big thing, small thing for some people, for a few. No. You can achieve, you can find out what your purpose and destination is. And I've defined this in many ways in the books I've written, on YouTube, on radio, but I'll just give a summary here. Purpose comprises of using your gifts, talents, abilities, skills, personality, positioning, background, and everything you have been made up of in alignment with the Creator's plan for the mission you've been sent here on earth. So like I like to put it, you've been sent here for mission it's possible. That's your own mission. Mission it's possible. How are you going to carry out that mission? That is what we are going to remember you for. We're not going to remember you for the money you had in your bank account, or all those other, even the clothes you wear, we won't remember. When we're talking about Mother Teresa in this day, we don't say, so no, this is the shoe she was now wearing. It is what and how did she live out her mission. The fourth point is habits. And there have been many saying about habits. I want to assume that you've heard a bit about it. We are creatures of habits and so on and so forth. But the point of it all is that we cannot really become anything or any person that we want to become without creating habits around it. The question is, do you like who you are becoming, or do you detest who you are becoming? That's a question I want us to take 30 seconds to think about. Do you think of who you are becoming? You know yourself beyond your teachers, beyond your parents, even beyond your friends. Think about it. Am I going to like who I'm becoming in the next 5 years? Or am I going to detest who I'm becoming? If your answer is no, one of the ways that you can start making changes to that is your habits. Habits are in the basic plain definition are the things you do every day in furtherance of your life. They are the common things you do every day, the simple things you do every day, the things you do knowingly and unknowingly in furthering your life's purpose, or at least what you think your life's purpose is. What do you ingest into your mind? How do you see and spend your time? What are the profitable activities that you are part of? These are some of the things that make up your habits. Whether it is sports, whether it is reading, whether it is playing, whether it is gossiping, whether it is gisting, whether it is asking questions, whether it's thinking of the next big science innovation to come up with, these things become habits and they now shape your life. The fifth point is systems. Systems and habits go hand in hand, because without systems, you cannot have an effective habits. So systems are the structure and the operating structure that you put in place to make sure that your life is working. Are we all here? Are we listening? Because I want us to really pay attention. You know that there have been the argument of our human brains and goldfish. Please, we don't have that sort of attention span here, right? I'm sure we don't have that kind of attention span here. I'm asking, are we here? Do you know the comparison between human brain and goldfish? You don't know the comparison. Oh, okay, that the human attention span is now the same as goldfish with the advent of social media. You can read up on it because of, TikTok, Instagram, fast. Yeah, read up on it, research it. Because the human attention is becoming slower, lower, and it is not good for us. But that is not a key part of my conversation. I also wanted to make sure that we are paying attention, because attention is one of the best things we'll be able to invest in this generation to be able to extract what we need. Like I was saying, systems are the structures that you put in place to be able to live out those habits that you want to have. So whether it's a habit of exercising, let me just say, exercising, for instance, can be the habit you want to inculcate, or eating healthy, whatever. So let me give eating healthy and exercise. If you want to be a person who has a life system of exercising, you have got to put a disciplined system in place of, say, waking up by 7 a.m., 6 a.m., 5 a.m., whatever works for you. That is how to build a system. Putting time frame, timelines, timestamp to those particular habits that you are trying to form. Same thing with eating healthy or even reading. You cannot say, I'll read in 2050. You have got to say, I would read. Maybe I'll read literature or I'll read science every 3 p.m. on Friday, for instance. This is how to put systems into place in your life. And in turn, this is what makes you become the girl for the job. I do not want us to forget that we are talking about becoming the girl for the job. We cannot pity our way into important conversations. We cannot pity our way into important voting. We cannot even pity our way into political spaces. We have got to be intentional about this process. The other point is your people, association, and community. That is the 6th point. Your people, your association, and your community. I want to make this clear. The people, association, and community is not just made up of those who you are surrounded by on the outside. It's also made up of those who you allow into your mind. So, for instance, if you listen to Ira Star, she's a part of your community. If you listen to her often and often, you put her song on repeat, she's a part of your community because you are ingesting her content. For many years, we've thought that community and people is all. There are so many people who they don't stay around with so many people, but the kind of content they are getting on the inside of them, those people are their community, and those people are the people that are influencing the kind of decision that you are taking. So, are you intentional about looking for a mentor, working with a mentor, reading from mentors? Whether it's whether it's internally getting the content, maybe you don't know the person personally, or even externally, the kind of friends that you put yourself around. Because it has often been said, the kind of friends you put yourself around, it's not about the kind of friend. You yourself can also influence the friends you put yourself around if you have an identity and you know what you are doing. So anytime you think community, association people, it is no longer just about who are the 4 average people that are around me. It is also about who are the people that allow access into my mind through movies, through music, through arts, through books, through poetry, through tweets, through skits. Those are your community. They may not know you, they may never know you till you leave Earth, but those people are influencing you, and if they are not good influence to you, it's a great time after this meeting to make sure that you remove these people from your live chats. They say group chats, but I'm sure you get the point. And the final point on the 7 ways to become the girl for the job is not education, is not action, but it is practice. Yes, it is not action, it is not execution, it is practice. If you remember what we just said, the first to 6 points, you will understand that we need to practice number 1 to number 6 to get anything out of what we have just learned. So it is great to take notes. It is a starting point. It is great to record. It is a great point. It is even noble because it means you are interested and you want to go back to it. But the question is, how are you going to start practicing what you have just heard? And you know why I said practice? Because you can start it today and fall off. It is for you to rise up again and continue. That is how we become the girls for the job. It's not because we want to be perfect, or it's not because we are going to be perfect on our first try. It's not because we have not made mistakes. It's not because there are not going to be challenges. But it's because you're going to keep going. And like Toby Amusa, I want to assume everybody knows who I'm talking about. She just came to limelight in 2022. But the lady, from when she left Nigeria up until 2022, when she was recognized by Nigerian presidents and by the whole world, it has been a span of years of practice. So when she doesn't feel like it by 5 a.m., she'll stand up and go to the gym because she knows that she needs to run for the mission and the destination that she sees in her mind. When she comes 5th, she will not give in or give up. She's going to stand up again and say, I can do it. If I became 5th, I can become 3rd. If I became 5th, I can become 2nd. And if I become 2nd, I can become 1st. So she's not going to give up. She's not going to emotionalize things. She'll stand up, she'll dust and fling her hair, She'll wrap it up again, 6 a.m. She's back to practice. She's back to practice. We are going to win this. We win this, or we move nowhere. They'll say you die here, whatever it means, whatever slang you want to adopt. So as you live here today, I want you to not just be women of action or girls or ladies of action. I want you to be girls who practice, who stumble, stand up, continue. Stumble, stand up, continue. There's a song that says, if you cannot walk, I can't remember, but it says it's something about if you cannot walk, you crawl. But no matter what, you have to keep moving. And I just want to emphasize again as I close out that this is and will never be a competition between boys and girls. Boys and girls are different and they need each other. However, if you are going to bring out your potential to the best of who you can become, becoming that innovator, scientist, president, politician, TV host, or even TV owner, you have got to make sure that you continue to put at least these 7 things that I have shared today into practice. I want to share for anybody who cares to connect with me. I am on radio every Friday by 7 p.m. on DUX 94.7. That is DUX 94.7, and it airs to Lagos. So DUX 94.7 is free. Listening to radio is free. You can listen to me 7 p.m. West African time. For every other thing, I continue to share there just publicly to help the people, my citizens, basically, my fellow brothers and sisters in Nigeria, to make sure that we are becoming the quality that we are talking about. Because at the end of the day, we cannot have a nation without quality people building that nation that we desire to see. Thank you so much, and I thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Thank you for listening.